Imagine a world where a dance could last not just for minutes but days, even weeks, with no end in sight. Welcome to Chronicles of History, where we embark on a captivating journey through the annals of time. Today, we're stepping back into the cobblestone streets of Strasbourg, France in the 16th century. Picture half-timbered houses leaning against each other, their wooden beams creaking with age, and the smell of fresh bread wafting from bustling marketplaces. This was a city alive with the hum of daily life, yet it was about to be seized by a most peculiar phenomenon. In the heat of the summer of 1518, a woman named Frau Trophäa stepped into the street. There was nothing particularly unusual about her, nor the day, but what happened next would send ripples through history. Frau Trophäa began to dance. Now this wasn't a graceful waltz or a lively jig. This was an uncontrollable, relentless dance that seemed to consume her entirely. She danced without music, without a partner, without pause, her feet pounding the cobblestones from sunrise to sunset. Blisters formed, her shoes wore through, and still she danced. The townsfolk watched in bewilderment as Frau Trophäa's isolated exhibition stretched from one day into the next. Her energy seemed limitless, her desire to dance insatiable. And then, the unthinkable happened. Others joined in, one by one. People began to dance uncontrollably, their bodies swaying, spinning, and stomping in a frenzy that defied reason. Strasbourg was in the grip of a dancing fever, a contagion that spread through the city with an alarming speed, leaving its victims in a state of perpetual motion. Nobody knew why it started or how to stop it. Theories abound, from supernatural curses to medical anomalies, but the truth remains shrouded in mystery. Yet one thing was certain. What started with a solitary dancing woman soon became a spectacle that would be remembered for centuries. By the time Frau Trophäa had been dancing for a week, she was far from alone. This curious spectacle had spread like wildfire through the streets of Strasbourg. The city was in the grip of an uncontrollable dance epidemic. Hundreds of people, drawn in by this bewildering phenomenon, were now locked in this relentless dance. Imagine the scene, a multitude of individuals, men, women, even children, all swept up in this bizarre spectacle, their bodies swaying, twisting, and turning in a relentless rhythm. Their faces, a mix of bewilderment and exhaustion, yet their feet, they just wouldn't stop. The dance, it seemed, was an entity unto itself, a force that had claimed the streets of Strasbourg and held its people in a relentless grip. The local authorities watched in alarm as their city succumbed to this inexplicable frenzy. They were at a loss, unable to comprehend or control what was happening. Attempts to quell the dancing proved futile, as if the dance was aflame, and their efforts mere gusts of wind that only served to fan it further. Physicians were called upon, their learned minds put to the task of unraveling this puzzle, yet the spectacle defied all conventional wisdom, all medical knowledge. Theories were proposed, treatments suggested, but to no avail. The dance continued, unabated, its rhythm echoing through the city, a haunting melody of a tune that no one knew but everyone danced to. And so, the authorities, in their desperation, took an unusual step. They concluded that the only way to cure this dancing plague was to let it run its course. To let the people dance until they could dance no more. They believed that the dancers would eventually tire themselves out, that the strange energy that had gripped them would finally dissipate, and the dance would come to a natural end. Little did they know that this decision, born out of desperation and a lack of understanding, would only serve to intensify the epidemic. In a desperate attempt to cure the afflicted, the authorities made a decision that would only make matters worse. In a misguided attempt to cure the dancers, the city's authorities built a stage and hired musicians. Now this may sound like the setup for a grand medieval flash mob, but the reality was far from it. The authorities, baffled and desperate, concluded that the dancers must simply gyrate the fever out of their systems. And so, they sought to facilitate this bizarre remedy. They constructed a wooden stage in the heart of Strasbourg, and musicians were roped in to provide a rhythmic backdrop to this unsettling spectacle. The townsfolk were encouraged to join in, transforming the city into a vast, throbbing dance floor. But instead of alleviating the crisis, this decision threw more fuel onto the dance fire. The music and the stage didn't draw the fever out, they amplified it. The dancing grew more feverish, more frenzied. The beat of the drums, the strumming of the lutes, the swirling of the dancers, it all coalesced into a maddening, unstoppable whirl of movement. As the days rolled into weeks, the physical toll on the dancers became increasingly evident. Exhaustion gnawed at their bodies, their faces etched with the agony of relentless movement. They danced until their feet were bloody, until their bodies gave way beneath them. They danced even as their hearts stopped and their breaths faltered. The grim reality of the situation was that people were literally dancing themselves to death. The city, once known for its vibrant markets and bustling trade, was now the backdrop for a macabre dance marathon. The laughter and music that once filled the air were replaced by the sound of weeping and the eerie rhythm of ceaseless dancing. The death toll rose steadily, and with no end to the dancing in sight, the city was gripped by fear and confusion. The cure had failed. The stage that was meant to be a place of healing had instead become a dance floor of despair. The music that was supposed to soothe had only intensified the suffering. And so, the Strasbourg dancing plague continued, its melody a grim reminder of the city's failed attempt at a cure. With the death toll rising and no end to the dancing in sight, the city was gripped by fear and confusion. Finally, after weeks of ceaseless dancing, the plague began to subside. The streets of Strasbourg, once echoing with the rhythmic beats of countless dancing feet, slowly regained their tranquility. The frenzied dancers, exhausted and worn, began to drop. Their bodies, pushed to the brink, could no longer sustain the relentless dance. The eerie spectacle that had gripped the city for weeks was finally coming to an end. The aftermath of the event was as bewildering as the plague itself. The survivors, most of them barely clinging to life, were left to grapple with the physical and mental toll of their involuntary dance marathon. The city too bore the scars of the bizarre event, with public morale deeply shaken and the faith in local authorities considerably dented. Now, let's delve into the theories proposed by historians and scientists to explain this peculiar event. One of the most popular theories suggests that the dancers were victims of ergotism, a condition caused by ingesting rye bread infected with a certain type of fungus. This fungus produces compounds similar to LSD, which could potentially induce hallucinations and frenzied movements. Another theory points to mass psychogenic illness, a form of mass hysteria, where a group of people manifest similar physical symptoms due to psychological stress. The people of Strasbourg were indeed under immense stress, grappling with famine, disease, and economic despair. The dancing plague, according to this theory, was a physical manifestation of this collective psychological distress. However, none of these theories are foolproof, and the mystery of the dancing plague continues to baffle experts. Could it have been a spiritual or religious frenzy, or perhaps a social phenomenon born out of desperation and despair? We may never know for sure. The dancing plague of 1518 remains one of history's most bizarre and unexplained events. A chilling reminder of the human body's fragility and the power of collective hysteria, it continues to perplex and fascinate, centuries after it brought a city to its knees. Today, we've delved into the peculiar world of the dancing plague of 1518. We've seen how this strange event turned the streets of Strasbourg, France, into an uncontrollable dance marathon. Hundreds of people, swept up in an inexplicable frenzy, danced for days on end without rest, without reason. We've explored the futile attempts of authorities to cure this dancing fever. Their solution? More dancing. They believed the only way to cure the plague was to dance it out, so they hired musicians and erected stages, turning the city into a bizarre dance hall, but to no avail. The dancing continued, and tragically, some even danced themselves to death. We've witnessed the end of the plague, as suddenly and mysteriously as it began. The dancers dropped, the music stopped, and the city of Strasbourg slowly returned to its usual rhythm. But the memory of the dancing plague of 1518 remains, a haunting melody in the city's history. Now it's your turn to step onto the dance floor. What are your thoughts on this strange event? Was it a case of mass hysteria, a biological anomaly, or perhaps a supernatural occurrence? We would love to hear your theories. Share your thoughts in the comments section below. We've danced through history together today, but this is only one story in the vast chronicles of the past. There are countless more tales waiting to be told, countless more mysteries waiting to be unraveled. So, are you ready to continue this journey? To delve deeper into the annals of history, to discover the incredible, the bizarre, the utterly unbelievable? If so, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Join our community of history lovers as we embark on this incredible voyage together. We're unraveling the chronicles of history one story at a time. Until next time, thanks for watching.